Hello, good evening, everyone. A very, very warm welcome from London. My name is James Sanson. It's my enormous pleasure to be your host this evening. We've got a fantastic call tonight. Someone who is an absolute legend in our business, in the Juice Plus business, Emma Buckley. She's the voice and image and spokesperson for Juice Plus worldwide, on YouTube, everywhere. And we're so grateful and so pleased that you're joining us here tonight, Emma. So an extremely warm welcome from you, for you, Emma, from us. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, James. This is my very first Zoom call.
Wonderful. Well, you're looking amazing. And
I didn't know what Zoom was until about an hour ago.
Well, absolutely fantastic. So here we are. I mean, we're, obviously new boundaries have been crossed this evening. So it's wonderful to have you. So Emma, let's just get straight into it now. Tell us a little bit about your background, because I think people would be fascinated. I know you've lived in the States. Obviously, you live in Ireland now. But tell us, what's your background?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms, I suppose I always like to bring my background and my history in terms of Juice Plus context into it as well. I guess you could start at the very beginning. I was a 16-year-old kid coming home from school one day, and in my kitchen stood Jeff Roberti. And I was like, hello. And he was like, hello. And little did I know who he was at the time, and it was a big introduction for me. My mom was his frontline distributor in Dublin, and so that was really my first introduction to Juice Plus as we know it now. It was a slightly different company back then, doing different products. But essentially, the business model was the exact same, and the ethos was the exact same about health and wealth and helping people achieve an extraordinary life through sharing products that were good for you. And my mother fell in love with this whole concept, and my mother was the love of my life as well. So, well, I have a new love of my life as well, but back then, certainly, I idolized her, and I loved the excitement that she felt, and I loved seeing her come to life and had this fire and this passion in her belly, and she just really inspired me to see the growth and the to realize her potential, really. And I was fortunate, I had Juice Plus royalty at my fingertips. And Jeff Roberti then, about 2 years later, came to Dublin to do a talk and talked about Juice Plus. And we filled one of the best hotels here in Ireland. And I was helping my mum, with the ticket sales. We didn't sell the tickets for anything other than just covering costs, which was a bit silly, because we could have sold them for 3 times the amount, but because it was as such how popular he was. And he spoke about Juice Plus. And, so we always kept in touch. And at this time, I was studying my science degree in University College Dublin. I was doing chemistry and biochemistry. And after I left college, I kind of took a couple of years out. I was a model for a little while. And it was through my own poor eating, or not eating enough, as models generally, or certainly did 20 years ago. It was really through my own struggle with food and diet, and that I became interested in nutrition. And after I was finished modeling, and I was kind of fed up with not actually doing very much with my brain, my mum said to me, "Why don't you think about Juice Plus?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." And she said, "Well, Jeff is going to be in London in a couple of weeks' time. Why don't you go to a meeting and meet with him?" And Shay was going to be there. Shay O'Brien was there. Simon was there. This is back in 1997. And I was a 22-year-old kid looking for an opportunity. I went to a meeting in a hotel. James, I think you may have even been there. And I think, in fact, you were. And I don't know who was speaking. Oh, I do. Oh, you'll help me remember. It was an older Asian Indian doctor, Dr.
Satya. Dr. Satya.
Yeah, it was Satya who was speaking. And my ears lit up, my eyes lit up, every fiber in my body lit up. The way they were talking about prevention and health and cellular level and the power that the diet has over your health and taking control of your health yourself through diet just lit my fire completely. And it was the message that I loved through Juice Plus, that I learned about nutrition. We had Dr. Mitra Ray's tape back then, the only tape, a cassette tape that we had. And I bought it, I brought it home. We had the Current Therapeutic Research first study as well from 1996. And I devoured it. I just immersed myself in learning. And I went, this is what I want to do. This is my path. I mean, not only from a nutrition perspective, but I really say Juice Plus put me on my path for my career from a nutrition perspective. But I used to see the presenters on stage doing a wonderful job. And, you know, again, that kind of lit that passion in me as well. And I remember looking at people on stage in Eastbourne and places like that. Do you remember those events? And, I just was like, you know what, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So I went back to college, studied nutrition. And when you really know what you want to do, and when you really are applied to it, you can do quite well in it, because it's not hard work. It is hard work, but it's not difficult because you want to do it. You want to be the best you can be. So I studied and I got really great results in my nutrition. And then I decided to go with Juice Plus and really make a go of it. Sadly, my mum passed away shortly after that, so it put me into a bit of a tailspin, as you do. As we always say, life gets in the way. And then I was very quickly after my mum's death, I was presented with an opportunity to present a TV show, the Irish Breakfast Show here. So, you know, you don't ever turn an opportunity down. So I went and I did that. And I found my other passion, which is broadcasting, presenting. And again, it all came through my experience with Juice Plus, going up on stage and presenting to people. Mind you, I was awful at it at the beginning, horrific. The first time I ever presented in Dublin, and I love this is just really important for anybody who hasn't presented before but wants to. Don't think it's a natural thing. It's a learned craft. The first time I ever presented, I was so nervous. My voice was shaking, my hands were shaking. We had an overhead projector where you could put, my hand had to turn the slide and it was shaking so badly you could see the shake, and I was giving it all away, and my mum was in the front row going, it's okay, come on, keep going, you know. So it was this dual kind of career of presenting and nutrition that brought me over to America, and I ended up hosting a parenting health show. I just had my child, my son Jackson, who is 8.5 now, and through that I was so blessed to be exposed to some of the best thinkers in health and preventative health and parenting. And being a new mom myself, and you don't have a clue what you're doing, I was able to ask all these experts, you know, how should I do this? What should I do that? And, you know, there are so many different ways of doing, you know, of living, of being. Everyone has their own way, but the tenets are always the same. And keeping the core idea on and practice of food being your medicine, and preventing illness through a good diet and through lifestyle as well. It's not just the food that we eat, but it's the water we drink, it's the air we breathe, it's the sleep we get, it's the exercise we take. And so I learned an awful lot through my experience there for the number of years I was there. Came home to Ireland in 2010 with Jackson. Looked after my dad, who was ill at the time, but went back into working in nutrition. And Juice Plus, Shay and Simon from Juice Plus knew I was back in Europe, and they said, would you help us with some nutrition consulting work and maybe some video production and some broadcast and some presenting and blah, 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 blah. Cut to 5 years later, and here I am talking to you, nice ladies and gentlemen.
Fantastic, Emma. That's amazing. So it's been a sort of natural evolution in a sense, that you've moved up really, Juice Plus has been a part of your life, or certainly the company's been a part of your life, really for a good amount of time. But now Juice Plus is really sort of central to everything. But sort of, I'm just very intrigued in terms of obviously you got involved with the company in terms of with the videos, and you started doing a lot, and obviously you're all over YouTube now. But can you just tell me a little bit about how you sort of began to get into the research and what that really meant to you as you began to really digest the research and begin to realize what you were dealing with here with Juice Plus?
Well, as I mentioned, my undergraduate degree is in science. So, although I don't work in a lab, I am a scientist by qualification and by aptitude, because you're curious and you want to know why, and it's not enough for someone to say just cause. You have to look for the evidence to prove why, and again, it's not enough to have evidence that one person or two people may coincidentally have it. They may or may not have just be coincidental. It may be true, may be fact, but in order for it to be robust, or in order for it to stand up on its own merits, you need to have science to back it up, evidence to back it up. And there are various categories of research, whether they're robust enough to stand up in terms of nutrition and clinical data. There's that hierarchy of evidence. To give you an example, the current therapeutic research study wasn't done to a gold standard perspective, but it did give enough raw data to make people question why, make people question, is there something here? And when I was studying, or when I was working in America with Real Savvy Moms, the parenting health show I was speaking about, one of the interviews that I did was with it was a roundtable discussion on conventional medicine, as in like your normal GPs and the Department of Health and your conventional Western medicine versus like homeopathy and alternative medicine, alternative practices. And it was a roundtable discussion, and not my being the moderator, I can't have an opinion, but I'm interested to hear all sides. And we had representatives from all of these different groups, and the representative from the American Academy of Pediatrics, Dr. Ari Brown is her name, and she was the representative at the time. She said something that I'll never forget, and it just stuck with me. She said, you know what, that's fine that you're saying that this does that and that does that, but in my practice, I have to know 100% that I can recommend something that is efficacious and will do no harm. She goes, and she just said, show me the science. Show me the science. Show me the science. And it's literally the currency. If you want to talk at a level with scientists, with researchers, with clinicians, with the people that we respect, you have to talk in their language, and robust, peer-reviewed, gold standard science is their language. And we have that with Juice Plus.
Fantastic. Well, that's wonderful to hear from you, obviously, because you're so experienced with it, but obviously you're right within the industry itself. So, as you say, it's the currency. It's what people are most interested in. Let me just ask you, go on.
It is at that level. And it's funny, and I speak about the science a lot in terms of the field and the distributors in the field, because it's very easy to get excited, your hair is growing and your nails are better and your skin is glowing and you haven't had a cold this winter yet, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Your eczema is gone and blah, 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 blah. And it's so excited to say that and attribute it to Juice Plus. But, we can't say that because we don't have the science to back it up. And if you're starting to say that something stops a medical condition, then you're now getting into medical territory and pharmaceutical territory, and there has to be science specific to that thing. So what we have is peer-reviewed gold standard science based on markers of health. And so instead of saying my son's asthma has cleared up, well, we'll say something like, my son's that, oh, that's interesting, Jackson hasn't had an asthma attack in 8 months. Oh, interesting. Well, we know Juice Plus reduces inflammation, and we know that it helps with the DNA, and we know that it does this, that, and the other because of the science to prove that. And then then you make the link yourself, but you're not saying directly that it does this. Do you see?
Yeah, yeah. And we can allude to it. Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah. Now, Emma, just tell us, I mean, obviously you've been involved a lot with Juice Plus in a very detailed way, in a sense, behind the scenes over the last couple of years. We know Juice Plus is evolving all the time, that it's, you know, they're improving it, you know, not that it really needs to be improved, but they're finding ways to just make it even better all the time. Can you tell us a little bit about how it has evolved and what has gone on there?
Yeah, I mean, it has definitely evolved over the years. And first of all, I guess, you know, at the very beginning, it was, well, the biggest evolution was the addition of the Vineyard blend. That was by far the biggest jump in terms of it becoming a more complete product. And we're not talking about complete itself, but you know, the fruit, the powders, the encapsulated powders themselves. But you know, the formulation has changed a little bit over the years as well. The additional vitamins have changed, and they are there for a very important reason, to give conformity and uniformity to the capsules, because we know that the basis of the capsules are crops, which can change in nutrient profile from yield to yield, because harvests change, soil profiles change, minerals change. So in order for there to be that consistency throughout batch to batch to batch throughout the year, throughout year to year, there are additional nutrients added. They're all food-based nutrients. They all come from food, so they're not synthetic nutrients added. But that mix has changed slightly. A few years ago, there were B vitamins in there that weren't necessary. They were just taking up a little bit. You know, the formulation of the capsules has changed slightly over the years, and it's the best that it can be. And that's the one thing. Well, there are many things I love about Juice Plus, but from a consumer perspective, from a scientist perspective, I love that there's a huge research and development arm to the company, that they never sit on their laurels and go, right, we've got it nailed, that's it. You know, they're constantly looking for, how can we improve this? How can we make it better? How can we offer our customers, our distributors, something that's of today, of the 21st century? In many ways, you know, Juice Plus was 20 years before its time. Nutrition has definitely, I think we're only literally getting to the point where people are open to diet affecting health now, in the last maybe 12 months, maybe even 6 months, and going forward. People are starting to make that connection now. So given that it was 20 years almost too early, you know, it's 20 years ahead of everything else out there. So the formulation of the capsules has changed. The biggest change, as I said, the biggest addition, or the biggest improvement, was the addition of the Vineyard blend, which is specifically, I guess, for cardiovascular wellness, given that there are the connections between the nutrients in berries, dark berries, and cardiovascular wellness. Personally, I remember when I took Vineyard for the first time, because I was living in America when Vineyard was launched over here. And when I came home and I got my premium, I guess when I was 22, I didn't really notice the difference between how I felt on Juice Plus beforehand. because you're 22 and everything's great. But when I was in my late 30s and I started taking the Vineyard blend, I remember thinking to myself, gosh, I feel my eyes are wider or something. I could definitely feel the difference myself. That's my own personal story. But then with the improvements over time, you know, with Complete, it's definitely seen a big redevelopment, rebrand. And the biggest area of development is in the science, in looking at how Juice Plus can be proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is efficacious in helping with X condition or X marker of health. And we've got, you know, and the studies that have been done have precipitated other really interesting studies from within the scientific community themselves. At the beginning, yes, of course, it was the likes of John Blair leading the charge, saying, you know, have a look at how our product might work in your research. And now the researchers are talking within their own fraternity, and they are now starting to get very excited about some of the results that have been seen. For instance, I'll give you an example. Thomas Dietrich, who is in the University of Birmingham, and he's just about to publish his study on healing and gum healing after wisdom tooth extraction. And I don't know if any of you were at Birmingham last year, but I interviewed him. And I still remember him saying in our pre-interview chat a couple of weeks before the event, I said, well, Thomas, tell me, how did you get on? What were you thinking about before the study? And he became interested in it because his colleague, Dr. Ian Chappell, Professor Ian Chappell, had done the study on periodontal disease and how Juice Plus can help with that. And he was intrigued, and he said, look, we'll have a look at wisdom tooth extraction. And I was like, why wisdom tooth extraction? Because it seems so kind of basic, whatever. But when you think about it, it is the most prolific surgery. It's the one surgery that most of us will have gone through at some point, you know, throughout our lives. So it's, albeit it's a minor surgery, it is, most of the population will have experienced it at some point. So it's valuable in just population size. And he said, Emma, I'm a surgeon. I believe in cold, hard steel. But when I saw these results, I fell off my stool. His words, not mine. And so these people who are used to results, and by the way, scientists don't care whether the results are yay or nay. They just want them to be right. So they don't care. You know, they've no interest in the results as such. They just need for the process to have been done properly. And he was just so fascinated by it, and that then precipitates more study within the fraternity and more people being intrigued by it. And we've got so many coming up at the moment. The microbiome, which people are very fascinated about, how gut health, really the microflora, the environment of bacteria within our intestine, really has a huge impact on our overall health. So, you know, Juice Plus is leading the charge, really, when it comes to nutritional science. And what's wonderful about using Juice Plus capsules for research from scientists' perspective is that uniformity of the product that we were talking about. You know, we know fruits and vegetables are incredibly valuable, incredibly beneficial for health, but it's very difficult to do science on fruits and vegetables because the crops will differ from year to year, from region to region. Even the nutritional data that we have for milk, say, in the UK will be different to milk in the US because the cows are fed differently. And, you know, it all has an impact on how the soil, the sun, everything. But what's great about Juice Plus capsules and their uniformity means that there can be real science done with a uniform product with uniform results. So there is no variable. And that's what I love about how progressive the company is and brave, putting their product up for this scrutiny.
Fantastic, Emma. That's amazing. Oh, I think, we're pretty much running out of time now. I mean, you have been the most incredible person to interview because you just flow. You just go so beautifully from one subject to the next. But, and I know we've got various different questions that people want to ask, but I know we really haven't got the time. So what I'm going to ask you is whether some people might be able to email you, perhaps just a question or something, not to take up a lot of your time, but maybe if one or two people could.
I had an hour booked for this, so if you want,
right. Well, we always do half an hour, so because we just want to, but thank you very, very much indeed, and we will just say to people that they can, not broadcast, but say on an individual basis, people can email you. But I just really want to finish with a question really about you as a mother, and just to ask you, I mean, there you are, you've got Jackson, he's 8.5. It's been such a joy for you, I know, to have him as a child. I know he's a wonderful little boy. I mean, we've seen him on numerous occasions, and it's thrilling to hear he's growing up, and, but what has it meant for you as a mother to have your child on something like Juice Plus from day one? What does that mean to you emotionally, and what do you feel when you know that he's so well looked after?
Means everything, James. I'm so glad I've done one thing right, which is, that he was literally made with Juice Plus, so there's this huge peace of mind that he has been exposed to this consistent nutrition that's cumulative in his system for the last 8.5 years, 9 years, if you count the time that I didn't even know him, and that I was able to, through my own nutrition, with feeding him, that he was getting the best out of from that I could give him personally as a mother. I'm not saying that Jackson is, I mean, he's not feeling well tonight, for instance. Okay, he's up in bed there, and he had a stomach ache. But it's Monday. I think it's a bit of Monday-itis as well, to be fair. But I know that he does catch the odd thing. I mean, he hasn't been sick this year, thank God. But, I think through his school career for the last, say, 4 years, he's had a few things over the years. But the difference is that he is down for a day, max. He's never down for any longer than that. He bounces back like nothing I've ever known. He makes a liar out of me, I say, because he can get like, he's, oh, so ill. And I'm like, oh my God, he's so ill. And then like he goes for a sleep and he wakes up and he's fine. Okay, I've just had a minor heart attack, but he literally bounces back so well. And that it kind of gives you this sense of, I hope it's I'm not being silly or anything, or a bit sort of foolhardy, but he really gives you this sense of security that he's going to be grand. He's going to be fine. From an emotional perspective, as you say, I love the fact that he's my Juice Plus kid. I love the fact that he's kind of like the mascot of Juice Plus in some way, and that you've seen him grow from in his first video when he was 3 right through to now at 5.5 or 8.5, 5 years later. We were at the event in Dublin on Saturday, and Jackson was with me as usual, running around chasing aliens with Dave O'Brien. It's just, he's part of the furniture now. He's part of the scenery. And so I'm loving that my mum gave me this exposure to this wonderful company, these wonderful people that I've met over the years, and deep friendships that I've made, and a wonderful lifestyle, and great, fantastic product. But that goes without saying. But it's everything else that goes with it. I mean, it's not just the product that brings us all together. It's the type of people that it attracts, and the business. It's the common, it's the common sort of journey that we're all on, and we're all very nice people in Juice Plus, I have to say, and it's very easy to make friends. So I'm delighted that I'm exposing him to this type of person, these kind of friendships, this happiness, this positivity. Please God, when he's older, he'll look at the business in earnest and make a few bob, pocket money, whatever. And it's great for him, and I'm delighted that I can do that. And as a nutritionist, I'm just so happy that he eats broccoli and hummus and snails, Brussels sprouts, and all sorts of things, and that he'll try everything. And he has this wide and varied palate, and just eats happily away and has no issue with food, really, which is terrific. And I think, again, it just all kind of spins off the core of this wonderful nutrition that he's had since he was a few weeks in gestation.
Fantastic. Emma, thank you very, very much indeed. And we are out of time now. We've gone over a little bit, but I just can't say how grateful I am. That's absolutely wonderful. I mean, as I say, you flowed so perfectly. We've had so many messages on the chat scenario, on the call, saying, oh, we're captivated. Keep going, keep going. She's so amazing. But, we really must draw it to a close, because we say it's half an hour, and everyone has just so much enjoyed you. You have been utterly amazing.
Thank you so much, James. And I can see Therese, my friend Therese in the Netherlands. Hi.
Great. Well, just to say that we will invite some people just to email you, just a few key people who said that they really had questions, so that they're not disappointed. But also just to say that we are going to be running a Zoom business product and business presentation tomorrow night, which Gordon will be running, Gordon and Michelle will be running. So look out for details about that. And we will let you know on the Aquila members page about your email address, if that's all right. And we'll ask people just to be very, very careful about not asking you too many questions. But Emma, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's been a wonderful, wonderful evening. We are just so grateful, and have a wonderful evening. And good night, everyone. And thank you very much indeed for joining us. Take care and see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.